Hello gamers. So I'd say, oh, I didn't want to make this video, guys, but no, I think this is actually an interesting topic, and it's something that we all need to be talking about as content creators and as a PF community. So I thought I'd put this out there. These are my top 10 reasons, or just 10 reasons, why PF is dying as a game. Let's get into it. So first off, I just want to say, like, bro, I don't think PF is like, you know, it's not gonna die out. It's not a terrible game now or something like that. A lot of people are always like, it's not what it used to be, bro. It sucks now. It's not bad. That's basically all I want to say on that topic. It's not a bad game. Stop saying it's worse than it is. Like, yeah, there's some stuff that you can disagree with, but don't be like, the game just objectively sucks now, because it doesn't objectively suck. It's still pretty fun. Regardless, let's get into the first reason that I wanted to talk about, which is content creators. Content creators are quitting the game. It's happening a ton. The amount of content creators that are kind of leaving the platform. Let's just go over a quick list, all right? We had Oscar, he left for a little bit. God Status is getting a little bit, you know, he made a video about how he's bored of the game. Pajama PF started doing Minecraft videos. You know, all of them aren't like fully leaving the game, but they're getting to that point, and that's gonna really slow down the amount of videos that are coming out on the game, which is probably gonna be a huge detriment to the game. Content creators leave and come and go all the time, and so I'm not too worried about it, but, you know, if you look, Synthesize OG, Paradox Pokey, all those people, they left. You know, the community is still fine. So maybe we're just seeing another change of like the content creators in the game. I don't know. Hopefully those people will stay. Okay, fight me, dude. That is gonna be a huge reason why PF might lose some players, just because their favorite content creator is not gonna be making as many videos. And point number 2 is the amount of hackers in the game. I've seen a lot of hackers lately. Just in the past couple of years, just people have developed software for hacking in this game. The reason that you don't see it like when games are pretty new is because people haven't developed it yet, and then those people will develop it and then put it on the internet. People can just download it, and that's kind of what we're seeing now. Like, the anti-cheat on this game is not really the best. There's not really too much I want to say on this topic. It's just there are hackers, and when there's hackers in the game, people are going to be like, I don't really want to play, you know? A lot of people quit Arsenal because of the hackers. Speaking of Arsenal, my next point is Arsenal. Well, not just Arsenal, but other games in general. PF really didn't have any competition until pretty recently. Well, not too recently, but in the past couple of years, it's been like, what do we have now? We have Bad Business, we have Arsenal. There's a lot of games that exist outside of PF. Jeez, I'm hitting so much stuff today. But yeah, there's a lot of games outside of PF. Those people that would just automatically go to PF when PF was like the only big FPS game, now go to those games. And that's not like a big thing, but it's definitely the reason that there's less players than there would be, because Arsenal has like 50k players. A lot of those players are playing on a computer. They could easily be playing Phantom Forces instead, but they're not, because some people prefer Arsenal over PF. Another thing is just boredom. This would be point number 4. People just, wow, okay. People just get bored, you know? Like, when you play a game for a really long time, you kind of get tired of it, and I can completely see that. Anybody who's like rank 300, they're probably not enjoying the game as much as they were before. Perhaps they are. I don't know, I'm not speaking for every rank 300, but once you get to that point, it's like, you've been playing the game for a very long time. You probably are running out of things to do, and that's basically what a lot of players are doing right now. Me, at rank 150, I'm not tired of the game because I haven't used every gun, every conversion, every attachment. I haven't done that yet. But like, once you get to a point where you're like, you've unlocked every single gun in the entire game, you just know everything. Those people are probably getting tired. Point number 5 is that PF is terrible at actually getting new players. Now, let me explain this, all right? When you join PF, what do you get? You get the M4A1, the AK-12, the intervention with no attachments. Your FOV is really low. You need to actually change up your settings for the game to actually be like playable. It's not really accessible, you know? Arsenal is like, well, you can get cosmetics only. You just spawn in. Everybody just has the same guns and stuff. But PF, you have to grind for a lot of attachments, and that adds a lot of depth to the game. But the problem with depth is that, like, you don't immediately realize how to play with all that depth in the game. You don't know how attachments work. You don't know how to play the game yet, and that makes it really hard for new players. There's not like a tutorial or anything. Even in tycoon games that are not that hard to grasp, even for like an 8-year-old kid, they have tutorials. This game, on the other hand, no. doesn't have a tutorial. Number 6 is that the community, this is mostly a community problem, I would say. I don't think the events are that bad, but people hate the events. The events make the player count just drop. Like, the game pretty much dies. The player count during the Halloween event dropped like 50%. It dropped like 2,000 to 4,000 players on a given day. It was insane. People just didn't like the events. And events are what adds a lot to a game. If people don't like the events, what are they supposed to do, you know? Limited time events are a great way, like Fortnite did it, for example. Arsenal does it, where you add a little bit of stuff to the game for a limited amount of time. You can't really do that in PF because people don't really like it. I don't know. I'm not going to say any of the events are objectively good or bad. I actually liked the events. I would say that the Christmas event went a little bit too long, but the Halloween event was fine. The April Fool's Day event was super fun for that one like hour that I played it on that day. It was not a bad event. It was just people didn't like it. It was only for one day, dude. You just, like, if you didn't like the event, just don't play for that one day. It's not really that big of a deal. Now, point number 7 is something that's really been something talked about pretty recently, and that is the lack of updates, and that will go down to even less updates because 1, they're working on core, and 2, they're gonna revamp the UI and everything, and if they do that, there's not gonna be a lot of content updates. Originally, you had like a new gun every week. Like, there was just an insane amount of guns being added. It's like, oh, this week there's the Matable, and this week there's the Beowulf ECR and TCR. Wow, this is so epic. I mean, it wasn't weekly, but it was pretty often, and the updates are just less now, so the game will probably have some periods where there's just less players because there's not really anything new to do. Something relating to something that they're hopefully gonna fix. This game has terrible code. It was coded about 6 years ago. Let's be honest, it has a lot of bugs in it. You look at movement in other games like Bad Business movement, you don't just get flung for no reason most of the time. This game has a lot of weird bugs in it, and that's just because it was programmed 6 years ago and they're still adapting it to Roblox now. Hopefully they'll be able to fix that in the coming months with their new UI and everything like that, new framework. Point number 9 is something that the stylus devs cannot possibly control. This is the fault of the community. Let's be honest, PF has a very toxic community. It's very hard to get into the community, and people are just pretty overall not good-natured. And as somebody who's pretty good-natured most of the time and just enjoys people just being nice to each other, it's not really the best for me, but honestly, it's just the fault of the people playing the game, and we're all just kind of mean. We vote kick a lot, and it's just kind of not the best sometimes to be playing PF. The reason that this could aid the death of fandom forces is that people are just not nice to each other, and when people are not nice, people basically get their feelings hurt. You know, sometimes if somebody gets like cold bad on the internet, sometimes they'll cry and not play the game anymore. I'm not saying it's necessarily an objectively bad thing that people are toxic on this game. It's just some people will leave the game because of the toxic community, you know? Before we get to the number 1 thing, which is something that I really want to talk about, please comment, what do you think will be the death of Phantom Forces? I think that honestly my next point is probably going to be what kills it, but all these other things that are kind of there are also problems. And no hate to Stylus, like, I really like this game. I like what they've done with it. Sometimes their ideas are not necessarily the best thing, but most of the time they're just trying to make the game more fun and a better game and add more content. So shout outs to them. People hate them a ton. That's another toxicity thing. It's just like, come on, man. You can't hate on these people. They're not adding more cosmetic items that cost more money. It's all just content. With that out of the way though, let's talk about the final thing, and this is number 10, core all of Roblox. Like the new game that Stylus is working on. If you didn't know, they're making a new game. I played the testing like once, and I can already tell you from playing it once, it will destroy Phantom Forces. And that's not even a bad thing because it's just Stylus's next game. It's like if COD made another COD game that was just way better than the one that they made the year before, except we've waited a very long time for a new game, and a lot of people are not gonna like leave PF immediately. But let's be honest, if you play core, you know core is pretty good. It's a World War II shooter. If you didn't know, don't let that like throw you off. It's still really good. I don't really like World War II shooters, and originally I was like, I'm not gonna like this, but it's really good, and we don't really see any real World War II full shooters in Roblox, so I don't know what to tell you. Core is going to be really, really good, and I can't wait for it to come out. But yeah, I think this pretty much sums it up. I'm sorry if I hurt any feelings or anything like that. I was just wondering. Please let me know what you guys think about this video. I think this was just a nice sit and talk. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like and a sub, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.